Yes, is my screen visible? Yeah, everyone, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let it start. Okay, so we will start from resume from where we left it yesterday. About the user creation. Okay, so I have taken two examples where we are going to create. One will be the backup user, the user that you will use to create to take backups, and the second I've taken an example of an admin user. Okay, I'll discuss like what is the functions or what are the what will the roles of this user will be. So regarding the first user, backup user. Okay, normally what we do, we take the backup with the system. Sorry, you haven't done it from the command line yet. But if you're doing it from the command line, you have to use the credentials of the system user of each database. But what the issue is that if you use the credential of the system user, then the password will get visible. If you are storing this file, if you are storing that commands in the scripts and all, the password will be openly visible. You cannot share the system user password with anyone else. So in order to in order to avoid that, you can create a key. We did it in the last session, if you remember. We did it like creating a key. So here we created a key by the name my key sys. So here instead of creating okay, here so you can say that, sir, you can create a key, and instead of using the credentials for the user, system user, we can use this key for scheduling backups or for putting this commands in the script. But again, this key is also a keyless sorry, passwordless key. So if anybody comes to know about this, they can it can be misused. They can use this key to log into the system user of the database, which is a very high, which is a super user and which has a very high authorization. So anyhow, you have to avoid using the system user to use for your day-to-day activity. So what we are going to do is that we will create one backup user. Here is the user. This is a command to create the backup user. Create user backup password backup 123. This is a password. You can keep a complicated password for you. The last part is no force first password change. So what is this no force first password change? Actually, what happens if you only use this command, create user backup and password backup 123. So next time when you log in with this user, it will ask you to change the password. Okay, the password which you are given here, it will take it as an initial password, and when next time when you log in with this password, it will ask you compulsory to change the password to set your productive password. Okay, but many times what happens, you don't you directly use to log into this user. You directly put this user's key, create a key and put it into the scripts for in directly executing from there. So that is the reason, if you don't want to change the password at first login, you can use this parameter over here. No force first password change. Okay, then alter user backup disable password lifetime. It means the user will not get locked because of incorrect passwords. Okay, then these are the two privileges that we are giving this user, which will enable this user to take backups. Grant backup admin to backup user. This backup is the user. Grant catalog read to backup. So these are the two permissions that we are giving this user, so that this user will be able to take backups. Okay, now let us see where is the database. Okay, it has started. So now let me, the first thing is this, you need to log into your individual connection. Okay, so here I will use my HDB, this I will use login to my system database. Okay, I'm logged into my system DB, and what I will do, I'll create this user. If you want, you can first verify whether user is created or not created. Select star from users where user underscore name is equal to backup. Okay, so can you see over here 0 row selected? 0 means there was no record for this user. It means the user is not there in the database. So we are going to create this user, create user. So we have created user. Okay, can you see it says successfully executed. Now again, if you want, you can execute the select command to check whether the user was created or not. So now can you see it is giving the detailed over here. Now this is the username, backup user, then this is the user ID, and these are the all details. These are all the details. This is a record of this user master record of this user. If I come out of this, you can see one row selected. It means one user is there by the name backup. One row selected. So I've created this user. Now let me just assign him all the privileges. Okay, I've assigned these privileges to the user. Now the user is ready. The user is ready in the system database, not in the tenant database. So let me. Now the next we'll create a backup key. We'll create a key for this user. HDB user store set backup underscore sys. This is the name of the key that we are assigning to this. The name of this key. Then the host name colon the port number 30313 at the system DB backup user and the password backup123. Okay, so here I'll have to create it from the command prompt. So I'm returning to the command prompt. Here I'm executing this command HDB user store. Okay, operation succeeded. If you want, you can just check it. HDB user store list. So here you can see over here backup key backup underscore sys. So this is the key for the backup user for system DB database. Okay, now you can directly if you want to check with this user whether this key is working or not, you can the same that key we used instead of my key sys. Now you can use the backup sys to check whether this key is working or not. So you can see that the key is working. I can log into the HDB SQL prompt without entering any password. Now coming out, now if you want to take a backup, you can run this command HDB SQL -u, the backup key, the key of the backup user, backup data using file. This is the name of this is the location of the file. /backup system DB underscore. This is the timestamp. So let me execute this and check. Okay, sorry, could not be completed. Create directory. Okay, so the directory does not exist. The backup directory does not exist. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so which is actually in this location ls/usr HANA shared SID HDB instance number and backup. This is the actual location for the backup directory. I think it has been deleted. there is no backup directory over here. So let me do anything. I'll create a backup directory at this location. mkdir slash backup. Here is a backup, and this is the permission HTTP systems and everything. Okay. Okay. Now I just have to change this path in this location. So instead of this, I have to set it to slash HANA shared HTTP. Instance number. Just okay, now this is the instance number. The instance number 3, and this is the SID TP underscore SID. Okay. Here is my command. Now let me just execute this command. Duplicate CD backup. Okay, so can you see that the backup, it has started taking this backup. System DB, this is today's date, 2022 4 3rd of April, and this is the time 7:31. So it is taking the backup. What is the size? It's almost 3.5 GB. Okay, so the backup completed successfully. 0 rows affected. The backup was successful. If you want to cross verify the backup, you can log into the HANA Studio and you can check in the backup catalog. Okay, and this is the command to delete the user, drop the user backup. This is just for your information. We are not going to drop that user. This is just for information in case if you want to delete it in the for your information. Okay. So here we have created the user in the system DB. This is a separate. This is a different user. You cannot use this user to log into your tenant database. You have to create a separate user for the tenant database, and you have to create a separate key for the user. This key will not work with that user. Okay, so let me log in. Right click, log in. Okay, so here backup, double click, go in the backup catalog. And for this, you can see today's date over here. This is for today's date. This was the failed backup because of the permission, directive permission issue. The directive was not, the directive didn't exist. So this is the error for that. And this is the backup that we had filed today. This is today's backup. 3rd of April, 2022, 7:31. So you can see over here, it was for 1931. That is 7:31. Okay, and for the H4D database, there is no backup yet because the database was installed yesterday only. So there was no backup taken as of now. So now I'll be creating the user and firing the backup from the command line. Here. So now I am going to create the user for the tenant database. Let me connect to the tenant database. Now I'm connected to the tenant database. Check the user, cross verify whether the user exists or not. So here you can see that the user does not exist in the system. 0 rows selected. Okay, now let me create the user. The same command, same password. If you want to change the password for the tenant database, you can do it. Okay, all the commands were successfully executed. Now check if the user is existing or not. Okay, so here you can see the detail of this user. User successfully executed. Now you can create a key for this user. Create a key for this user. So this is for the testing the backup, whether the password, everything is okay. This is just for cross verification. So I run it, I can see the output over here. It means the user and the password is successful because I'm able to run SQL query from this command. HDB minus I03 minus user minus p the password, and this is the query. So now I'm going to create the key for the user. Now the key will be by the name backup underscore and the name of the tenant database, backup underscore H4D. And here instead of @systemdb, which was there in this previous case, here it will be @h4d for the tenant database. So here I created the key for the user. If you want, you can log in and test whether it was successful or not. So here instead of my key, okay, backup underscore sys, here will be backup underscore H4D. Yes, I was able to log in with this key into my tenant database. Come out of this prompt, and now you can run a tenant database backup. Fire a tenant database backup. Okay, if you want, you can check it from here. So here you can see the directory over here for the tenant database. Okay, this is the database for the tenant H4D, and this is the time is 3rd of April 1937. That is 7:37. Okay. DMSC starts almost 1.9 GB. If you want, you can put it 6, 2.9. I think it's completed. Okay, can you see 0 rows affected? The backup is completed. So the backup size is of 2.9 GB. The backup size of 2.9 GB. You can cross verify in your studio. Just refresh the screen. And here you can see the today's backup. 3rd of April 2022, 7:37, 2.84 GB. Is it clear with everyone? Any doubts? Okay, no doubt. Can we move forward?
Yes.
Okay. So this you have seen this first example was for a backup user. How you can create a backup user, give the privileges required for taking backups of the database, and create a key for that user for passwordless backup. And here you can see with this command, you have taken a backup of the database. So it's so simple to schedule this backup. What you can do, you can put this command in a script, and you can say schedule that script in cron job. Once the script is scheduled, then at that selected time every day, the script will run and it will take a backup of that database. Now second is your admin user. Now what use is for your admin user? So normally the reason for creating an admin user is that because you see, for a system database, system user of systemdb, if for example, if there is an issue, you forget the password of the system user, systemdb user, the system user of systemdb, then you cannot directly go there and set the password of that system user. You cannot directly change it, because you need a restart for the systemdb to change the system user password. This is one drawback. And see, normally every organization will not allow you to schedule a restart of the system DB, or because the system DB means restarting of all the, because since it is a base database, you have to restart the whole database. So then, so restarting the database will not be, it will come under downtime. It will not be, you not be allowed every time. So as a precaution, what you can do, you can create one user admin, create a user admin, okay, and give the user, grant user admin to admin. So this user will be assigned the user admin privilege, so that this user can change the password of other users. Okay, because if you, let me show you an example over here. Now, for example, if I log in with my, if I log in with my system user, if I log in with my system user, okay, my key H4D, this is for the tenant database, my key sys. Now here, if I log in with my tenant, here, if I try to change my password, the password for alter user backup password, alter user system password 123. Okay, password 123, and you can use the same no force first password. Okay, it has changed the password, but normally it doesn't allow to change the password. Let me check. Okay, like if I log in out of here, my case is okay. You are getting an authentication fail because the password has changed. Okay, yes, I think I made a mistake over here. Normally, the case is that if you don't have the system user password, okay, and if you don't have to, you don't have the system user password. If you want to recover the password for system user, you have to restart the database in some what is the, I think, called as a safe mode or something. There's a mode for that. I forgot the name. What is called for the mode? You have to restart your database in that mode, and then you can reset the password for the system user. And no other user, just get it, no other user can change the password for system user. Okay, now I using the system, I use the system user to change the password of the system user itself, so it worked. But it would have been a different user. I wouldn't would have been able to change the password with a different user for my system user. Okay, so the normal, this is the reason why what is we are creating a separate user admin for secure safety purpose. In case in the future, if you forget the password for system DB, and if you want to recover the password for system DB, then you don't have to restart the database. You can directly log in with this user and recover the password for that user. Okay, so let me create this user and let me log in into, so it is my keys is, so here I think I will have to change, and I have to use my keys is then I have to use password 123. Okay, so let me reset the password, alter user system password. Okay, you see, last n number of password cannot be, you cannot be reused. You cannot use last n number of passwords, since this was the last password. Sorry, the password 123 is the same password as the last one. Even I cannot reset it to my old one, India 123, because the password shouldn't be from your last 5 passwords. Okay, it shouldn't be from the last 5 passwords. So in this case, what I need to do, I'll have to again change it to some 4 or 5 times. I have to change it to some other user. For example, 1 2 3 4 5 6, change, then 7 8 9. So 2 times I have changed, 3 times. Again, it will something 1 1 1 2 2 2. Now I can change it back to my earlier password, because in between I have changed it 4 5 times. Let me check what it says. Okay, can you see now my password has been again reset to my older password. So this is the easy way. There is another way where you have to change the parameter. For in case if you don't want to change the password 4 or 5 times, then you have to change the parameter whereby the last n number of passwords is 5. So you have to change it to 0 or 1 and then set your password and again reset the parameter to the old value. So that is a little high. So this is just simple. You have to just change the password 5 times to a different password and again and the 6th time you have to change it back to the one which you wanted. So this is, I've changed it to now. Let me create my user, admin user. I'm creating my admin user. Okay, the user is created. Let me check if the user is now. Okay, so this is the details. So this is the user. Now, let me log in and check if I'm able to. Okay, I can log in with my this. Now you can have your login with this user. So you can just keep this user in for safety purpose. So in future, if I, for example, now I have forget my password for system DB, I want to recover the password from my system DB. So now I can log in with this instead of system user, I can log in with the admin user. Password for that is admin123. Admin123. So I logged in with my admin user, and here I can change the password. I can change the password. Alter user admin, alter user password 123, alter user. This is the password, but this is the normal, the current password. So if you want to change it to some other password, I can change it over here. SYST system 123. So you can see the password has changed. The password has changed because this admin user has this privileges. User admin. If the user doesn't have this privilege, it will not be able to change the password for the system user. Okay, is it clear?
Muzaffar, can you show us the another way of resetting the system password if the admin user is not created?
Okay. Okay, 1 minute. User system reset. HDB name server minus reset user. HDB name server, HDB start. Okay, so on the command line, you have to run this command HDB name server minus reset user system. Shutdown is complete. Initialization of communication fail. Unclean shutdown service success failed. Prepare. Shutdown is complete. Index. Okay. LTP names are non-associated with the starting directory of the system and clean shutdown services. Okay, so now it is asking for the new password. I can type the password. Setting it to new password. Okay, you can type the password over here. Let me make it password W password 123. PASWORD 123. Okay, so now we have set the password to password 123. Okay, so now let me log in with the new password. Okay, this is the last command which I had used. This is for the admin user. The system user, this is the last for the system user. Okay, so we have changed the password to password 123. Okay, authentication. Change it to system 123 password. Change to password. Okay, I'm now changing it to welcome 123. Password accepted, activating of the system. Connect field. No, don't get it. What is the reason for this? me log in with the admin user and change it. System. Enter user system. This and passwords cannot be reused. So let me check this. Welcome. It is saying last and password cannot be used, but I don't know why from here it was not taking this password. So the login, welcome 122, it is showing as authentication failed. SQL state 28. Let me set it to something new. I think initial 123. Authentication failed. SQL state system ID system. Okay, select access users. Enter user system. So this full issue over here, the reason I think it was giving error. Yes, I think the main reason, because there are two reasons, right? Two issues right now. One is that the disk has got 100% full and the user is not getting reset the password. The password, I think the issue was that with the, what is it, the HANA Studio. I don't know, normally when you open a HANA Studio, you have saved the password for the system user. And when I, in the background, I changed the password from this command line. So if you would have gone and checked from the HANA Studio, it was continuously rechecking for the old password. And because of rechecking with the old password, it got the system user locked. That was the reason I tried to reset it 2 and 3 times. But again, when I was trying to using the resetted password, it was giving an error. It was not able to log in with it. It is because the user had got locked. So normally this was the reason for it. The second, the reason they're facing right now is the disk full. And the issue with that is HANA data. Do you CD MT D minus CSS star? So the reason here is that the system database size of this database has grown to 5.5 GB. It was not expected. Actually, this I have installed the latest version of the database yesterday. That is a revision 61. Normally, in the previous version, the database size of system DB used to be somewhere around 1.5 GB something. Not this much, but here the database size has grown too much. It has gone to more than 10 GB, and the disk has got full. Okay, so this is the reason we are facing this disk full issue over here, and the database is not coming up over here because of the disk full. So I think we will leave it. We don't have time for doing the troubleshooting over here because the next topic will get delayed with that. So let me just leave it and we'll move to the next topic and we'll see it later on. So we have seen that how to create a user, new user, and how to reset the password with the new user. Is for the new learning that the new database version revision 061, it creates a bigger database size than the previous version of 059. Okay. So now next topic that we are starting right now is our database replication, DB replication. We will be starting with the DB replication. Okay, and here the setup that we need for the DB replication is this. We'll be needing two databases. We'll be needing two databases. One will be the PRD1 and the other will be PRD2. Okay, this is the size for both the database. This is the CPU, memory, and these are the disk, these are the disk requirement and everything details over here. So we'll be creating two systems right now for the replication. So here are the steps for it, for creating the systems. Okay, here is it. Now here you can create the system in this resource group. You create two systems by the name of PRD1 and PRD2. And before that, you have to put that system, since this system will be in a cluster, you have to put that system in an availability set. Okay, the availability set, what is the meaning of this availability set? Since both of the system, you have two systems which will be in replication. So sometimes what happens when Azure is doing their maintenance, okay, if Azure is doing any maintenance, for example, it might restart your system also, because Azure has the right for the maintenance or maintenance activity in case if it is changing its hypervisor. So in case this Azure is changing the hypervisor, so it can relocate your VM from one system to another system. Sorry, from one hypervisor to another hypervisor. So there might be a minute, there might be some downtime for that. So if in case you have two servers, both are critical, and Azure restart both the server at the same time, then you will have an impact. then you will have a downtime. So what by doing this, when you put both the systems in availability set, so Azure knows that these two systems are in some kind of HA, some kind of cluster, some kind of replication. So Azure will not restart both the systems at a time. It will restart it only one at a time. First, it will restart the first system, and then it will restart the second system. Okay. I think we'll take a 10 minutes break and then we'll start again. So yes, we'll start now. Can we start now?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so now what we are going to do, so let me explain you what we are going to do now is that first we need to create the VMs for your setup. First, we'll be needing the VMs for creating the setup. As I said you that we'll need two VMs over here, PRD1 and PRD2. This is the configuration and details for the VM. And these are the, if you are creating from the portal, these are the steps over here. You can go over there, create the VM. First, you need to create a availability set and put both the VM in that availability set. Okay. This is the name of the availability set. These are the details and everything over here. Okay. So now instead of creating the VMs from the portal, from the Azure portal, actually I'm creating from the command line, which is much faster, I think. So let me open the console for that. So these commands has to be put inside your cloud console. This is where you need to enter the commands and everything. Yes, we already have this. So we already have this resource group created. E02.HANA-RG. Under that resource group, we also have the VMs required for the setup. E02 VNet. This is the subnet. So we have three subnets over here: public, database, and application. So let me create this and let me check if there is an availability set here or not. There is no availability set. Let me create the availability set. So I'm creating availability set by the name b02.hana-a set. Let me check it. Okay, so my availability set has been created. This is the availability set. I have to now I'll be creating two VMs under this two HANA VMs for the production. This will change over there. Instead of the private subnet, it will be in the instead of private subnet, it has to be in the database subnet. So the VMs have been started to be creating. Here are the two VMs. PRD1 and PRD2. So this is my sheet from my production HDPRD systems, and I have dated the IP address of my PRD system in the sheet. Now, first thing is that I need to set up the operating system of both these VMs. Functionality has come up. Okay, so both the VMs are ready, and now I'm going to quickly configure the OS setup. set up the OS for our installation for HANA database. So both these VMs are ready. You can see I logged in with the root user. Now let me first start with the first system. Set the password of the root user. Then change correct user underscore hostname. It is false, and we need to change it to true. Okay, then the host name of the system. It is let me change it to this host name PRD01. Host name is changed to this. Now log out. The system again log out. Now okay, reconnect. This root user. Now I'm going to add this make these entries in the host file. There are total 3 entries in the host file. The first one is for your local system PRD1, second is for the PRD2, and third is for the virtual host name. This is the virtual host name entry for both the servers. So I'm adding these entries in the host file. First, let me check for the host file. There are no entries in the host file. So here are the entries which are made in the host file. These 3 entries are done. Okay, ping all this one by one, whether if they are accessible or not. So this is the PRD01. This is PRD02. And this will not get pinged because this virtual IP address has not been configured yet. So this just only check that it's getting resolved or not. So yes, the host name is getting resolved. That's it. So done this. And this is for you're making entry in the patient host. This is for making an entry in your patient host. Okay, so there is only one entry 10.2.1.4 for the HTTP dev01. So I'm making an entry for all this in our patient host. So I made it of this entry in the patient host. Let me check from the patient host whether it is pinging or not. PRD1 is pinging, PRD2 is pinging. This virtual hostname will not get pinged. Only check if it's getting resolved or not. So yes, it is getting resolved. That's it. Now changing for the DNS server. So DNS config search with 90. Let's take a backup and change it to then check it. So now our domain name is there in the search list.
Muzaffar,
Yes.
yeah, just a query here. The creation of VMs and setting up of OS and everything in organizations, is it taken care of by basis consultant, or do we have a separate cloud team working on this?
No, see, basis consultant, this is not the job of the basis consultant.
Correct.
Okay, basis consultants have their own responsibilities and roles. Creating the
Correct.
VMs, it is not their responsibility.
Yeah. So in the live situation in an organization, how is it like? We just get the access to VMs and then start
Actually,
working on our.
it depends on what organization you're working for. If you're working in MNC, a systematic and organized environment, then every person will have their own roles and responsibility which they have to follow to and stick to that. But if you're working in an ad hoc company, okay, where everything is done by any person. One day a manager will come and tell you, okay, that Windows operator is not come, please take a seat and do that. So in that environment, you can expect anything to come your way. They might ask you to create the VMs also. They might ask you to do something else also, anything. So it depends on what you're working. So I've seen organizations where even the basic administrator have access of creating the VMs. So it depends company wise. And then time, date, CTO, UTC, changing it to time is changed to Asia, Kolkata. So till where we have done time get schedule. For the SAP tune service, SAP tune service status. This service is disabled. SAP tune service disabled. Let me start it. Now check it enable and active. Next is solution list. This red HANA modify. Okay, the solution has been applied for HANA. I'm just going a little fast in this because we have already covered this, so I'm not waiting for everyone to what is happening over here. So I'm just taking into account that you know what is happening over here. I'm setting the SAP space. GPF service space. Now remaining is to create the file system. This is the 3 disk over SDC, SDD, and SDE. PV create, create. Okay, so if OS is ready, the PRD1 system is ready. PRD1 system is ready. Let me move forward to the second installation screen and start the installation also. I need to update this sheet, this URL over here. This is the old URL. Okay, so we have downloaded the software, extracting it. After extracting, I will start the installation of this system, PRD1, and then I will move back again and start with the OS setup for the PRD2. If anyone is getting any confusion, anything, just interrupt me and you can ask a query if you have.
This will be a multi-host installation, right?
No, this is not a multi-host installation. This is a DB replication. See, in a multi-host environment, the database will be on a shared file system. Okay, there will be only one copy of your database. So if there is only one copy of database, then how will you do replication? So this is two separate individual independent systems
Okay.
with their own database, and we will be replicating the database from one node to the other node.
Okay.
So it is done. Let's start with the installation for PRD1. Okay. So here I have started the installation for the database of PRD1. Now let me go to the second node. This is the PRD2. So this is the second node. Now let me go from there. Let me start from there. I have already logged into the Azure user. Changes it. Change the password. This one for the second node, PRD02. Okay, log out. PRD02. So here I've started the installation of the second database also on the PRD2. installed. Let us discuss the prerequisites for HANA database replication. So first is the SAP SID and instance number. The secondary system must have the same SAP system ID, SID, and instance number as the primary system. Do you get this? That is the reason I use use the same command to install both the databases. The same, it contains the same SID, it contains the same instance number. The secondary system must have the same SID and instance number as the primary system. The SAP HANA software version of the secondary has to be equal or to newer than the one on the primary. Is it clear? When you're installing two systems for HA or for application, the secondary node's database software should be equal or higher. Lower will not work. It has to be equal or higher. So that is the reason whenever you are doing an upgrade of your HA systems, it is always recommended to first, not recommended, it is always asked to first update your secondary system, and after the secondary is updated, then upgrade your primary system. So in that way, the secondary system will always be on a higher level.
Muzaffar, I came
Yes.
late. This is
Okay.
regarding just like a standby server you are configuring, or it
Yes.
is? Oh, okay.
What? Yes, it's complete your sentence. What?
No. I came late, so I don't. I'm just guessing that this is you are creating a secondary server as a standby server, or both the server will be in use, or
No,
one.
the secondary server will act as a standby server.
Okay, that is
Okay,
what
we have created two systems, PRD1 and PRD2, and now we are installing the database on both the systems.
Yes. Everything will be same, just like we
Yes.
do for the secondary system.
Yes, only for the software database software, it has to be equal, the same
Yes.
version, or it can be higher than the
Yes.
primary, but not lower.
Correct.
System replication between two systems on the same host is not supported. Okay, so if you have one box, if you have one VM, if you install two instances on the same box, like we did yesterday for H4D and H4Q, I have installed two instances on the same system, then that will not be supported. System replication between two systems on the same host is not supported.
Because it will detect the hardware ID and all, it will assume that it is the primary system only.
It is not supported. Second, configuration parameter. So this is changes to the INI file configuration parameters made on one system should be manually duplicated on the other system. Okay, so if you are making any changes to the global.ini index-server.ini file, it will not be automatically replicated to the second node. You have to do it manually on the second node. Okay. The port instance number, the instance number +1. For example, in our case, the instance number is 01. So 01 and then +1, that is 02. So it will not be port 02, but it will a total, like for example 30213, some port like this, 30213 something. So the port instance number +1 is used for system replication communication, hence must be free on both the systems. So this you have to make clear that whether this port number is not being used by any other application or program. Then if the distance between the sites is less than 100 kilometers, if the distance between the sites is less than 100 kilometers, synchronous replication, synchronous replication sync or sync mem can be used, and the distance, if the distance is greater than 100 kilometers, asynchronous replication mode async is recommended. Now what is this? Let me. So there are three modes of replication. First one is synchronous or sync. Second one is sync memory or sync mem, and the third one is asynchronous or async. So here is the example over here, HANA system replication. The first one is your replication mode, sync mode. What happens in your sync mode? So now this is an example of your environment or landscape. The first one is your primary system. Okay, second one is your secondary system. On the primary system, you have your HANA instance, plus you have your database or the persistent storage, that you have your log files and the data volume. Same as in your secondary system, also you have the instance, you have the log volume, log segment, and the data volume. Okay, application server I have shown only in the primary server because at a time only one system will be active. So right now the active system is primary. Okay, so the application is running on the primary landscape, primary environment. The application is running on the primary environment. The secondary server is only acting as a standby server. So now what happens in case of a replication mode? What happens in replication mode? Now the request goes from your application to the HANA instance, HANA system. What request goes? For example, for updating it request for some data from your HANA instance. The HANA instance provides the data. The application make some changes in the data and again return it back to the HANA instance. Now what happens when the HANA gets that updated data, or what is called as dirty buffers in Oracle, or a change data? What it does? So it does, it sends it simultaneously to where? First it sends it to the log file, and also it sends it to the data file, and then it also writes to the second instance. Which what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the first method, synchronous replication mode. That is sync. So here when the change data is sent to the HANA instance, it writes the data to the logs and data volume, and simultaneously it also sends the data to the HANA to the secondary node. In the secondary node, the data is sent to the log and data volume. But if you see over here, still now the acknowledgement packet or the acknowledgement is not sent to the application server. It is still waiting. The application server has sent the change data to the HANA instance. The HANA system first sends the makes the changes in its own system data volumes and log segment, and simultaneously sends it to the secondary system. The secondary system updates its log files and data volume. And after updating, it sends an acknowledgement packet to the primary HANA instance. Okay, I have written all the changes what you have given me in my persistent storage. After the first primary instance receives this acknowledgement packet from the secondary system, then only it gives this acknowledgement to the application server that all the data has been written to the database. Do you get this thing? Is it clear to you, everyone? This is what is called as a synchronous method. So till the time the data, till the time the change information, till the time the change data is not persisted to both the databases, the primary database and also the secondary database, it is not acknowledged to the application server. So here in this case, there will be a little slack, there will be a little delay in the application server. If you're doing something, for example, if you have opened one keyboard, if you created one record, for example, if you created a PO and you have saved it, when you click on the save button on your SAP GUI, that data is sent to the HANA on the HANA instance of the primary. The primary saves it to its own data volume and log segments, and plus sends it to the secondary. The secondary also then saves it to its own data volumes and log segments and send an acknowledgement to the primary HANA instance. And when the acknowledgement is received from the secondary node, then only your primary HANA instance will send an acknowledgement to the application server that okay, your data has been written, and then only you will get your updated screen. Then only you will get the screen, okay, that your information has been served, your PO has been created, whatever information you see on your screen. So is it clear?
Yes, Muzaffar, this is clear, very clear. The only thing I can see here is the synchronous mode will delay all the processes, because
yes,
in case primary is very fine, it is having a good thing, but it will, the synchronous mode will depend on network also. If there is any issue with the secondary, that will also come, we have to consider all those things, and then the acknowledgement will wait for all these processes to happen from to the application server. So it is a very delayed process.
No, it cannot say it's a delayed process, because the first thing is that SAP itself recommends that if the distance between the sites is less than 100 kilometers, you can go with the synchronous method. Okay, one thing is that, and the second thing is that we we have this configuration running into one of our customer site, and their data and their systems are on the AWS cloud. And
Okay.
I think within the same environment, I think not less than 100, because they have a different zone. So in zone 1 they are running their primary database, or in zone 2 they are the secondary database, and we are using the sync method, and it is running okay. There is no issue with it right till now. As of now, there is no issue. So that is the reason. In case if you feel there is a slag, if you feel there's a delay of some performance issue, you can go for the second option, which is the sync mem. That is the synchronous memory replication mode. And what is it, the synchronous memory replication mode? Now what happens, same here, the change data is sent to the HANA instance. The HANA instance writes that information to its own log volume. Or sorry, it write that information to its own data volume and the log segment, and simultaneously sends the information to the secondary instance also. The secondary instance, as soon as it receives that information, the change data, the packet, what it does, it sends an acknowledgement back to the HANA instance. Okay, so the secondary server does not wait till it writes all the information to the data volumes and the log memory, log segment. But as soon as it receives that information packet in its memory, as soon as it receives it, it sends an acknowledgement that I have received the information. Okay, as soon as it receives the information, the acknowledgement is sent to the application server that your data has been saved. And by the time that information is sent to the acknowledgement, it starts writing to the secondary server starts writing the information to its own data volume and log segment. So this is the second method, which is synchronous memory. So as soon as the change data is received in the memory of the secondary system, it returns the acknowledgement saying that okay, I received the data. So this is a little more faster than the first method, which is a sync method, because in the first method, it has to wait till all the data has been written to the persistent storage of the secondary system. But here it doesn't wait to write all the data to the persistent storage, but as soon as it received, it sends back an acknowledgement. And as soon as the primary receives that acknowledgement from the secondary, it sends the acknowledgement to the application server that the data has been written or saved. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now there is another method which is called as the async. Now here we have seen here in the example, it says that if the distance between the site is more than 100 kilometers, if the distance more than 100 kilometers, then asynchronous replication mode or async is recommended. What is async? Here again, when the application data is changed, information is sent from the application to the HANA instance. The HANA instance changes the HANA instance updates its own data volume and log segments, and simultaneously it sends the information to the secondary instance also, but it doesn't wait for the secondary instance to send any acknowledgement, doesn't wait for the acknowledgement from the secondary instance. But as soon as the data is written in its own persistent storage, the HANA instance will send an acknowledgement back to the application server saying that the data has been saved. Okay, and by the time it is saved into the application server will start again processing another cycle, and by that time simultaneously the secondary storage will receive the data. It will write it to its own persistent storage, and then send it acknowledgement to the HANA server. Is this clear? So here, if you see in the first stage over here, the first stage it has to wait for 5 steps. First step of data from application to HANA, then from the HANA to the secondary instance, from the secondary instance. So this is the second application server to HANA instance, second step to the HANA instance of the secondary server. Then the third step, the data from a secondary instance to the secondary persistent storage. Then fourth, acknowledgement from to your HANA instance. And in the fifth step, the application server gets its acknowledgement that the data has been written. So this is a 5 step. But in the sync memory, the data is sent. The first step, the data is sent to the HANA instance. The HANA instance writes it to its own persistent. In the third step only, it receives the acknowledgement from the secondary instance that the data has been received, and it sends an acknowledgement to the application server that okay, your data has been saved. So here is one step lesser than your first step. And again, in this one, async, it is again one step lesser. The data is received by the HANA instance. The HANA instance writes the data to its own persistent storage. And in the third step, it sends back the acknowledgement to the application saying that the data has been saved. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah, Muzaffar. in sync mode, if something happened with the secondary server, the application will not work.
What happened? Can you come again? What?
No, in sync method, the sync or mem sync, in both the cases, if somehow secondary server gets crashed or something happened with the network also, the primary server will not be able to work.
Yes, it will get hanged up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but we have not faced this situation till now with our HANA setup, but I had faced this situation with the Oracle database. I think somewhat, I think 12, no, not 12, I think the year 2007 something. I think that was 15 years before. So we had faced this situation with our Oracle database. We had implemented, we were using that native log shipment method of Oracle, the log destination 2. There is a parameter by the name as log destination 2. So here what you can do, you can give the path to your secondary database. And so what happens every time there is a log switch, the Oracle database will write this log to its own log destination 1 parameter value, and again simultaneously to the log destination 2 also. That is to your secondary system.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So we had faced this issue. What happened now? What happened? The bandwidth, the link between the DC to DR, it used to get choked up because at the time at the peak hour there was a huge number of archive file generation, and the log shipment was not consistent or not. It couldn't come in pace with the archive log generation of the primary instance, and the database used to the system used to hang up. The application server used to hang up because why? Because the database was not getting acknowledgement from the secondary server whether it has received that archive log or not. So the system used to hang up and there was no activity, nothing and all that. The production system used to get hanged up. Okay. So again, then the database administrator had to scrap up all this log shipment method, and then we wrote some shell scripts to transfer the logs from the primary to the secondary system.
Okay, but right now it handles very properly. Right now, even if the secondary system, I mean the standby system doesn't get logs because the space is full or something, it will continue to do work, but in the log file, in the trace file, we'll get to know that the sync is stopped.
Yes,
so,
yes,
right now also, I mean we have never faced any issue with the Oracle because maybe we are not maintaining the sync option. We are doing it with the async method.
That can be the issue. That can be the reason behind it. Okay, because so this is if the distance is less than 100 kilometers, synchronous application mode sync or sync point can be used, and if the distance greater than 100 kilometers, asynchronous replication mode async is recommended. Now, Endian platform. What is an Endian platform? Endian platform means if you have a different operating system from your Unix family. Okay, for example, you have this BSD, OpenBSD, or if you have some other kind of, like for example, HP UX, then you have this IBM AIX, then you have this Solaris. So these are different operating system, but they're Endian. I cannot explain you right now. It's an hardware terminology concept called as Endianness. This is actually the architecture of the CPU calculation method. So it is different. So what it says that both the system should be on the same Endianness platform. Both systems should run on the same Endianness platform. It means if you're running, if you change the flavor operating system, for example, from the primary is running on RHEL, okay, then you can have a secondary running on SUSE, it will work, but you cannot have something like primary running on RHEL and secondary running on Solaris. This is not supported. So the Endianness should be same on both the OS platform. So right now, actually, there are two types of Endian, big Endian and small Endian. So the Linux family comes under the small Endian. Okay, the log mode transaction log should be enabled. That is log underscore mode is set to normal in the persistent section of the global.inl file. It means you cannot disable logging in your database. You cannot disable log and expect that your application will work. So are these prerequisites clear with everyone? Yes, everyone. Is it clear?
Yes, to me, yes.
But it's clear. Muzaffar, I have some query-related replication.
Yes.
So replication is just like a setup of DR, na? Yeah, it's means HANA configuration, DB configuration.
Okay, now let me explain you the concept of this HA and DR. Now, when you say this HA DR, what do you mean by HA DR? Can anyone come with the like what is an HA and what is a
HA
DR?
means high availability within your environment, within that existing environment of your primary node. And DR means disaster recovery means that server hosted another of your premises, your existing premises, your existing servers.
Okay, now let me make it clear to you what is HA and what is DR.
Okay.
HA means high availability. What do you mean by high availability? High availability means you set up you set up a second system or for HA. HA means there should be minimum or no downtime for that service. Do you get this? There should be no downtime or minimum downtime
Yes.
for
Like
a service. That is
yes,
called as
like
HA. Okay, and DR means disaster recovery. Disaster recovery means the primary site is totally down. Now you have to shift all your load to the secondary or the DR site. So that you cannot expect to be without downtime. That is not supported. Moving from primary to disaster will have some downtime.
right.
Okay, earlier when I think I when talking about my last this company, we had an SLA. If in case of a disaster recovery, there can be a there could be a downtime of 4 hours. Okay, that was an expected downtime of 4 hours. 4 hours means if your primary goes down, then to bring up the disaster recovery side, it might take up to 4 hours. So that was this HA. But in HA, it cannot be into minutes also. It has to be very less. It means if one of the node goes down, the secondary node should instantly take on the load of the first node and start working, start processing and serving all the users. So the difference or that switch over, you can say, or that whatever is that it has to be within seconds. If not seconds, then at least within 2 or 3 minutes. That is HA, high availability. So yes, now when you're talking about this replication, so normally actually this replication concept comes under DR. The replication concept comes under DR, disaster recovery. Okay, in HA concept, what happens? You have a single storage, shared storage. Okay, between two, you have two HA nodes, you have two nodes, 1 and 2, and you have a shared storage, and that database is stored on the shared location. That database is stored on the shared location. So in case of one of the nodes goes down, only what it happens, the cluster will remove the mapping of the storage from the first system, and it will map it to the second system and start the services on the second system. That is your HA. But in HANA, because of the architecture of the HANA database, because of it being in memory database, and all the information has to be loaded in the memory, it does location of database in a central storage, like a shared storage, is not supported in case of HA. Okay. So that is the reason from the earlier time, SAP uses, or this SAP HANA uses DB replication for its HA mode. Do you get my point?
Yes.
So I have seen systems which are sitting next to each other, in the same rack, but they have been configured with replication for HA.
So this is the practical which we are doing. It is for DR replication, correct? Not the HA.
It is for HA only. You can call it HA, or you can see actually many things have changed. Most of the concepts actually because of the introduction of cloud. Now what happens in a cloud? You have two zones. Zone 1 and zone 2.
Okay.
So now people, what they are doing, if they want to set up an HA environment, they say, why set up in the zone 1? So I will do one thing. I will set up one system in the zone 1 and I will set up the second system in the zone 2.
Okay,
So
okay,
zone
yeah.
1 and zone 2 actually are not the same. Actually, if you see the definition, or if you see the what is the manual of AWS, they say that the zone 1 and zone 2 are actually two different data centers.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you can refer this as an HA also. You can refer this as a DR also. So it is a little, it has become a little, you can say complicated, something like that. But it's up to you. Normally, in our current environment, what we do, we set up two zones, zone 1 and zone 2. We set up one system in zone 1 and we set up the second system in the zone 2. So in case even if the whole zone goes down, your one system will still be working. Is it okay?
Yeah, Muzaffar, still I have one doubt. So right
Yes,
now,
yes.
after doing all this setup, okay, we have secondary and primary. If primary so right now we are setting up HA, DR, both, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if primary goes down, it will, the application will automatically switch, and it will allow.
Okay, yes, let me clarify this also. Okay, just to give a clear answer to your query, right now what we are doing, we are not setting up HA, we are only setting up DB replication.
Okay, DR. Okay, right
Okay,
now
we are only setting up DB replication. We are only replicating the DB from the primary to the secondary.
Okay.
Now, in case if if the primary node goes down, you have to manually go and bring up the secondary. You have to take over the secondary database.
Okay.
Then only your system will work. So this will not come under HA.
Yeah,
because
this
is
will not come under
hybrid.
HA.
So this is only DB replication.
Only DB replication.
HA will be doing it next week, where I will show you how to configure cluster to bring the system into HA.
Okay.
Today we are only going to do system DB replication.
DB replication. Okay.
Muzaffar,
yes.
Muzaffar, you just said if DB secondary node of replication having some issue, some like network issue, then application we have like got in hang mode. So what is it? It is like, means if this is a like architecture, if primary goes down, then secondary will up manually up. So if
can you come again with your query? What you saying?
So just said na for a few minutes back, if secondary will not work and having some issue due to network, then application will in hang mode.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Right. So this is a scenario like my secondary will not, my replication server is not pinging, right? So this application will hang. So in considering this scenario, like if primary goes down, then we will move to secondary by manually, right? So,
okay, let me tell you one thing. Okay, see, this is the definition as per the book. As per the book, it is written like this: the asynchronous mode will work in this way, that if until and unless it receives an acknowledgement from the secondary node that it has received the data change data, and it has written it to its personal storage, it will the application server will not work. That is what as per the book it says like this. But as per my experience, I have seen that even if the secondary system goes down, the primary system will still work properly, doesn't impact it. Maybe I think there is some kind of mechanism, or there is some kind of a method where it finds out, okay, that the secondary system has gone down. So then it will not wait for the secondary node for the acknowledgement packet. Do you get my point?
Yes.
Okay, you are saying that internally only it will get to, once it will get that the secondary is not working, the sync process, the sync concept will stop, and it will continue.
I have not found this this statement anywhere in the books. But as per the books, it says that if you have configured synchronous, application, and if the secondary goes down, then the application will wait until unless it gets an acknowledgement from the secondary. This is what the book says. But I have seen cases, because I have myself, when I've tried handling, I have to reboot the secondary node. I had to reboot the secondary node. It takes maybe 2-3 minutes for the second node to reboot. But still, my primary instance or my primary application server was not impacted because of this downtime of the secondary instance. It was not like that my secondary instance gone down, so the application is not accepting any request and it has stuck up. Do you get my point?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Clear.
yes, yes. This
Yeah,
this
so
is this is quite practical, which is looking.
this is the
If it has
practical
to
which I'm
wait,
saying.
if it has to wait, that means two systems are involved, complexity involved, time involved. Then why this HANA? So exactly, it should not wait. But
But yes,
the replication will happen in sync mode. That is what,
yes,
as
that
soon
is
as
that is.
means you cannot change, you cannot stop. Suppose if you have made some error, you cannot
Mhm.
stop the standby system to not you can say sync that error. It will, that error will also sync in that case in sync
Yes.
mode. Correct.
Yes.
So Muzaffar, we can say we for switching to secondary, we there is some 5 to 10 minutes downtime is required.
No, it's not. No, you cannot take it as 5 to see. Normally, what happens? There are different types of. I will explain you on the way. Actually, when you do here, there's different types. The one is a log replay, and then you have this log replay mode. When you configure your application mode in log replay mode, so what happens? Everything what is there in the memory of your primary instance, everything, every information which is there in the memory of your primary instance is also replicated to the memory of your secondary instance. So the secondary instance you can say is as nearby as the state as your primary instance. So
Yes.
that in case of any downtime, the secondary instance will instantly take over the role of the primary instance.
In
So
real
it cannot be 2 or 3 minutes. I've seen that it happens within seconds, within 10,
But-
15 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
But it requires manual intervention, na?
See that in case if you're not configured HA, if you're
Okay,
configured
yes,
HA, then everything will be automatically.
I think he's talking without HA. Right now, without HA, the manual intervention is required.
Manual intervention, it can take up to 1 hour also because the administrator has to come down, has to log
Yes.
in, has to check
Yes,
this, have
yes.
to see this, and he has to verify whether the first node is down or not. Because when you are taking over, when you are running takeover command on the second node, you have to make sure that the first node is down. It is completely down. It cannot be like that, okay, only the link has been disconnected from your system to the primary system and you are not able to ping or access the primary system. So in that case, you cannot directly go and run the takeover command on the second node. Okay, be very clear with this. You cannot do it directly in case of manual. In
Yes.
case of manual,
Mhm.
because here you have to make sure that the first node has gone down. So in that case, if you are completely sure, okay, the first node is not replying, not properly responding, so then you have to first switch off the first node. Okay, there is a mechanism in HA. In HA, when you configure HA, there is a mechanism called as STONIT. STONIT, STONIT method. It means shoot the other node in the head. Simple. It simple means shoot the other node in the head. It means whenever between two systems in HA, if one of the node, the primary system is not responding properly, it will shoot it. It will forcefully bring the system down, and then it will bring up the secondary node. So
Yes,
because in case if you're not sure whether the primary node is down or not one, if you directly go on and run the takeover on the secondary node, it will complicate the matters. It will complicate everything because
Yes.
the primary is still not down yet. The database
You're
is still
trying
active.
to make it
So
up
it will
the
create
second.
a confusion. So
Okay.
correct, correct.
so that is so yes. So Zulfikar, your question about the 3-4 minutes is actually then again it depends on from scenario to scenario. See what we are doing right now. Our secondary node is in standby in fully it can carry the fully
Fully sync.
no,
100% the data is
no,
written.
the resources of the second node is also 100% of that of the primary node.
Okay. Means
Okay.
real time data.
Yes.
is-
So even in case of, for example, in your case, for example, the primary database is of 512 GB. The primary memory of the primary instance is of 512 GB. Then your secondary instance also has 512 GB.
Or more.
Okay. No, not more, but it will the same memory will do. Why more? Because the same memory will do. In some environment, what happens? You have your primary node on 512 GB, but what they do, they will configure. They will have two boxes. two boxes of 512 GB. On one box, they will configure the production system with 512 GB. On the second box, they will configure their development system running on 128 GB. They will configure their quality system running on 256 GB. And also they will configure a third instance, which is called as a scale down instance. They will configure a third instance with 128 GB for your production system, which will run in the standby mode. Okay, so if in that case of scenario, you cannot expect your secondary to come up within 2-3 minutes, because in that case, if the primary goes down, then in the secondary node, you have to first bring up the memory. You have to scale up. First, you have to shut down. You have stop your primary and second. Sorry, you have to stop your development and quality instance. You have to stop your development and quality instance to clear the memory, to clear the 512 GB of memory. Then you have to scale up the secondary system to 512 GB of memory, and then you will run the takeover command. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
Yeah, Zulfikar, do you get my point?
Yes.
Okay, so this is situation upon situation. So normally there are many kinds of situation depending on the landscape. Okay, in the landscape which I'm talking about, that your secondary is also having the same resources as your primary, and it is also configured in log replay mode. Then it will take up not more than less than a minute to come up, to switch over. But in case if you have a situation where your the secondary system is running in a scale down mode on a system which is also running your development and quality, then first you have to shut down your development and your quality, free up the memory, then scale up your secondary system to 500 GB memory, and then run the switchover command. Then when you run the switchover command, it will take some time to bring up the database and populate all the 500 GB of memory. So that might take maybe 10-15 minutes also.
Right. So
No,
is
that is
any license required for this replication, or it's combined with
okay. See, in this, if you are doing a simple replication, then there is no need of additional licenses. But you have a mode over here which called if you see this over here, there's a mode which is called log replay underscore read access. Read access means your secondary database. The secondary database can be mounted under read access mode, read only mode.
yes, only mounted, not in active mode, right?
Okay, not read write mode, only read only mode. So what happens? You can use that database for some kind of reporting application. Okay, reporting application where only the read only database data is required, not read. The application will not write anything into the database. So in that environment, you can use the secondary database for your this reporting tool or application. So that read access, the secondary as a secondary database will start up in read only method. Read only mode. So in that case, you need some additional licenses for that if you are going to start your secondary database in read-only mode. If you are not going to start the database in read-only mode, then no need for any extra additional licenses.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the information.
Okay, so now we have gone through all the prerequisites for this replication. Now we have to start with the replication, configure replication. Now if I see over here, both my databases have been installed. Both the databases have been installed. Let me log into my system. Sorry. Okay, so this is my PRD1 system. It is running. Let me show you one thing also. du -csh slash HANA data sid mnt. Okay, start. So can you see the sizes over here? The system database is of 3.3 GB and this database is of 66 MB. This is of 2.7 GB. So it hardly goes to 6 GB. But in a last case, when I did the installation with the latest version, revision 61, the size went up to more than 10 GB. And that was the reason the database was not coming up in the development system. So this is because of the version change. Just for your information. Okay, so now here I'm running. So this database is running. Let me check for the other database. Okay, so both my databases are running. So both my databases are running. That's it. So now let me come over here, DB replication. Now let us start configuring the database replication. Now the first step. The first step for configuring replication is that take a data backup of primary. You have to, before moving with the replication, before configuring the replication, you have to take a database backup of the primary system, of the primary database. So here I am running a backup. If you see HDBSQL -I, instance number -u, system user, password, system DB, and I'm firing the backup for system database, and here I'm firing the backup for the SID database. Okay, so here I am running the command. Let me check if we have the backup directory. So the backup directory is not here. I have to create the backup directory. Okay, so here is the backup directory. It is created. It has now created. Now I can run the command. Okay, so configure. Let me. Create the backup. Create the backup directory. Backup. DB SID HDB instance variable. So create the directory mkdir. Create the backup directory, take backup of the primary database. So here I'm firing the, for first I'm taking for the system DB. So running this command for the system DB, it has started the backup for the backup of system DB. Let me open duplicate SE minus H4P CD backup DU minus CSH star 1.63 B. So I think the backup is completed. It's still going on. 2.3 GB. The backup is completed for 2.43 GB. That is for the system DB. This is for the system DB. Now I'm going to trigger the backup for the tenant database. So second is for the tenant database. So it is taking for the tenant database 593 MB 1.1 GB. I think the backup is completed. Yes, can you see? So the backup for the primary database and the secondary database, the system DB and for the tenant DB has completed successfully. I've created the directory. The backup is also completed. Now log in with H4P ADM. First, you have to log in with the H4P ADM and you have to create a directory. Okay. Log in with H4P ADM and create a directory taken backup. Now, this one thing is copy the SSFS data and key from the primary to the secondary. So this is the key OS / HANA shared H4P global security RSecFS data SSFS underscore SID .dat and .key. This file has to be copied from the primary to the secondary of this at the same location. So if I come over here, HANA shared LL / HANA shared SID global security SSFS date rsec data SSFS in the data and the key directory. Data and the key directory slash okay, so this is the file over here. Under data, this is the file ssfs_sid.dat and ssfs_sid.key. This is the location, and this is the secondary, the same location. You can see of this file over here. This is we see the timestamp 3rd April and 8 o'clock 54 seconds, 8 o'clock 52 seconds. Now I'm going to copy the file from the primary to the secondary instance. First, I'm copying the data file. Okay, it is asking for secondary. Okay, copied. Now I'm copying the secondary. Sorry, I'm now copying the key file. Okay, copied. Now let me check the timestamp of the file over here. So can you see the timestamp? It has changed. It has changed from 8:54 to 9:37, and the second one from 8:52 to 9:37. So it means this file has been overwritten with the file from your primary system. Okay, is that clear? So this is the RAS pre-configuration steps for replication. The replication step. Now we'll start with the replication. So what is this? First thing is that check the replication state. This is the command to check the replication state. Both this system. Now let me run this command here. So can you see here mode, the replication mode none. It is this system is not configured under replication. Online is equal to what? Online means what? The database. It means the database on this system is online. I will again run the same command on the secondary, same output. You'll find the same output here also. Mode none and the online is equal to true. It means the database is running on both the nodes. The database is running on both these nodes, but the nodes are not configured under replication. The nodes are not configured under replication. Now we'll start with the replication. So check replication state done. Now enable replication on primary. You have to enable replication on primary. HDB NSUtil minus SR enable name is equal to Mumbai. You have to give some name of the site. Just for your understanding, which site is it. Don't give it something as primary and secondary because this will be confusing. When the primary switches over to secondary and the secondary becomes primary, at that time it will be confusing. So give it some name, for example, give it the name of the location of your data center. For example, your primary data center is in Delhi. So you can give the name of the primary as Delhi. And if your secondary is in somewhere Bangalore or Hyderabad, you can give the name like that. Or you can also give the name as site A and site B something. So I'm giving the name of my primary server as name is equal to Mumbai. So on the primary system, I'm running this command prd01. I'm running this command HDB NSUtil minus SR state name is equal to Mumbai. If you see successfully enabled system as system replication source site. So this has become the primary system or the source system now. And afterwards, again, when you will check the SR state, so see the difference. Earlier it was giving as online true. Here also it's giving as online true. But here the mode it was going as none. But here if you see the mode has become primary. Operation mode primary, site ID 1, site name Mumbai, is a source system true. So you can see all this additional information also coming after setting this site as the primary site, source site. But here in the secondary, again, if you run the same command, you will get the same output only because we have not made any changes in the secondary system yet. Any doubts, any queries till now? Okay, so now let's move ahead. Okay, so where were we? Okay, here. So we have made the primary, we have made the PRD1 system as the primary site, and we have named it as Mumbai. Okay, the SR state, if you see the SR state, it is output, given the output as this. Now I'm running this command, this watch command on the primary side. I'm running this price. So what can you see over here? It says there are no secondary sites attached. So it means this site is the primary site. The mode is equal to primary. This is the primary site. The site ID is 1 and the site name is Mumbai, but there are no secondary sites attached to this system. So now how we'll attach the secondary site? The first thing you need to do, stop the database on the secondary node. Go and stop the database on the secondary node. So here I'm coming and I'm stopping the database on the secondary node. Okay, after the database is stopped, then I will register the secondary node. I will register the secondary node to the primary node, or I will register the secondary as a secondary site to the primary site. So this is for registering the secondary node. So you can see the database has stopped. Now if you check database, okay, there is no process running even info. If you check it for info. So there are no database processes running. The database has stopped on the secondary node. Now I'm going to register the secondary node onto my primary with my primary system. So you can see the difference over in this screen. So first, let me run this register command on the secondary node and see the first screen. Just monitor. Can you see the changes in the first screen? Now the secondary node, you can see the status system replication site to unknown. Replication mode unknown. So the secondary is registered with the primary, but still there is no activity. You can see the primary side Mumbai over here and the secondary side Delhi. If you see the name which I've given over here is Delhi, then minus name is equal to Delhi. So this might have the secondary side Delhi has registered with the primary side, but still why it is giving us connection timeout. Why it is giving us connection timeout is because the database is not started yet on the secondary node. We have stopped the database, then only we have registered the secondary side. And now if you see the status of this site, so now you can see online is equal to false. It means the database is not up. Okay, and if you see the mode, it is in sync mode. Okay, and it has become the site ID 2. It is the site ID 2, and see the operation mode is still not set because the database has not started. The site name is Delhi. Now I'm going to start the database on my secondary node. Here in this I'm setting. So you will see the difference in this screen. Let me start my database here, and I will see the changes over here. So now if you see there are connection, it is giving us connection timeout. Once the database starts, you will see movement on the screen. You will see that the database will start replicating. See, it is initializing. It has started initializing. See, it is initializing. So you can see the full replica. You can see you can see the status progress over here. 42%, 76%, see 91%. So this is already now. So it is initializing the secondary. Initializing second. So now you can, it is initializing this 67%. Okay, now can you see over here active status? Yes, the secondary side is active. And what is the status of that mode? Sync mode. And the replication status is active. So now the secondary side is in sync mode. Now the secondary side has been synced with the primary side. If you see the site over here, status system replication site to active. Do you get it? Any queries? Any doubts?
Okay, just one thing, maybe a question which you have already answered. How the primary node knows that this is the secondary system or the DR system, because we have not given any IP in the primary system or something.
No,
Which,
you see, oh, no, here you see the register command. No, you go to see
okay.
the register command.
No.
HDPNSUTL minus register name is equal to tell you remote host. Can you see the remote host? Remote host
Okay,
is
okay, okay,
HDPRD1.
okay.
Remote
Okay.
instance 01. Replication
Mhm.
mode sync and
Mhm.
operation mode log replace sync.
Then, okay, yeah, remote host. This is the
So here you are
identification.
registering with this host. You are registering with this
Mhm.
host.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
here it is. So
Okay.
now your primary and secondary have your configured DB replication on your primary, and your secondary database is in sync with your primary database. Do you get this? And now we will test it. Okay, now we will test it how your replication is, whether it is replicating or not data from your primary to secondary. Okay, so now to test it, what we'll do, we'll create some sample data. Okay, we'll create some sample data. How we will open your HANA Studio. It's actually last time when I was resetting the password for the system user, I made a mistake over here. I logged on to this in notes and I reset the password. So it was continuously trying and it used to lock the users. We have faced this situation a lot of time before. Okay, so now let me add my node. I am adding the node HDB day one. So instead of day one, I will make it PRD1. PRD1 instance number 01, multiple container system database. It will become my PRD1. This is my PRD1. Okay, this is the PRD1. Next, the system, the password. Store the password, finish. Okay, added. Now add the tenant database, same node, HDB PRD1 instance number 01, multiple container target database H4P description PRD1. Next, system password, finish. Okay, so both the systems have been added to my. So now let me add the secondary database. What I've added right now is the primary node. Now let me know, give it for HDB PRD02. HDB PRD02 system number is the same, instance number is the same, multiple container system database PRD2. Now this is PRD2. Next, system and system password, finish. Okay, so I've added my this also PRD2 also. This is the PRD2 H4P production. Okay, so this is my PRD1 and PRD2. Okay, so let me now again add the last database again. HDB02 instance number 01, multiple tenant database H4P PRD2 system. Okay, this is my fourth and last database. Okay, all of the database have been added. So here are they. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my SID database of PRD1. I'm going for the SID database of PRD1, tenant database of PRD1. So let me close my system DB. Let me open the tenant database of PRD1. Okay, let me H4P @ H4P system and PRD1. Here it will be PRD1. So I have to go to the PRD1 system. So this is the PRD1 system. Right click on it and click on Open SQL Console. Open SQL Console. So here you have to actually right click. Right click, open SQL console. You open the SQL console for your PRD1 system. Let me open for my PRD2 also. Right click, open SQL console for PRD2 also. So I'm opening my PRD1. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating a table. First check if there's a table or not by the name of test user, test. So here it is, execute, I'm executing it. It is this is a production system, manipulate data with caution. I just click on don't show this message again during this editor session. Yes. So if you see over invalid table name, could not find table test in the schema system. So this table is not there in the current schema. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create this table, create table test and city. So I'm creating this table, execute. Okay, the table was created. If I run again, run the select star. Control V, execute. So you can see the table has been created, but it is empty. There is no data inside this table. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some data in this table. I'm putting some data in this table. Okay, can you see now I put some data? Let me check again, select star from city, test. Okay, can you see I have put some data into this table and I'm able to see the records in the table. Everyone clear with this? Yes, everyone.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so actually I made a mistake. I should have shown you before this tables from here. Tables. So there are lots of tables right now. Last time I told them no, this is for the sys table. I have to go in the system, not sys. I have to go in the system table, system tables, system schema. So here is the test table. So let me again show you. Let me just drop this table. Drop table says actually.
So when we'll drop it, it will release from the what you call storage also, or it will the space will remain there.
No, it will not release from the storage also. The space will still occupied inside the data volume. If you are going to ask that. Okay, so if you see over here, I have deleted the table. There is no table inside this over here. In my system schema, in the table. The same goes for PRD2. If you open PRD2, if you go under catalog, if you go for system user schema and open the tables. Okay, open this table. So here also you will find there is nothing inside this table over here. Okay, there is nothing. Just you can right click and refresh it. You will find nothing over here. Right now there is no such thing. So now let me now go and create the table. Here I'm creating the table on my primary system. Oh, sorry, primary database. I'm creating, if you can see over here, it is my PHP PRD01 system. I'm creating this I'm creating the table on my primary node. Can you see over here? I am executing this. I executed this. Now you can see here that the table was created. The table got created. Let me refresh these tables over my left side. Can you see the table coming over here? Yes, everyone. Can you see the table coming under this test table coming over here?
Yes, yes.
And similarly, if you scroll down, if I go to the PRD2 system, if I refresh these tables over here, if I refresh these tables, just see here. If I refresh this table, you can see the same table here also. Can you see the same table here? Earlier it was not here. Okay, now if I run this select star from table command, if I run it on the primary system, If I run this query on my primary system, select star from test, it is returning my blank table. Again, if I run this query on the secondary node also, I'm running this query on the secondary node. If I click on execute, you can see, don't show this message again. Yes, you can see a blank table returning on my secondary node also. The primary node also and the secondary node also is returning a blank table. Now I will go and add some record in my primary database. See, I'm adding some record in my primary database. Okay, here are the 5 records that I'm adding in my primary. If you see the name over the top, HPD HDB PRD01, I'm executing it. It has been executed. If I see the content of my table on the primary database, it will show me the records of 5. It is showing me the records of 5 records over here. Same if you go on the secondary node. If I again execute this query on the secondary node, select star from test. Last time it returned blank, no record. But now if you see, it is recording 5 records. Can you see? So it means my data is being replicated from my primary node to my secondary node.
Yeah, in real time.
Yes, in real time, it is replicated from my primary node to the secondary node. Now here it is. So this part has been done.
If we run the insert statement in secondary, what will be the error message?
Yes, if you run this insert statement here in the secondary, see what is it saying? Feature not supported, writable statement not allowed in read enabled replication.
Yes, okay, that is what I want. This is only read only.
This is only read only. You can just see the data over here. Okay, so select star. I have checked it from both the system. The data is available on both the nodes, primary as well as secondary. Now what I am doing, I am testing a takeover. What I am going to do, I am going to bring up the secondary database as primary. So first, let me check the state, the replication state on both the nodes. So here, let me check the state on both the nodes. This is a primary node. Let me. So here I'm checking the replication state. So this is the primary node. Okay, and again I'm checking the replication status on the secondary also. So this
command we cannot run directly in the studio, na?
This command, I think so. Yes, you can run in the you can directly run over here.
Check once.
No, sorry, this will not work. You have to run the SQL query here. You cannot run this OS commands over here. Sorry,
yes.
You cannot run the OS commands over here. You can only run the SQL query in your
yes. Okay.
So you can see that over here. Okay, one of the primary node is in primary mode. The first node is in primary node. The secondary node is in sync mode. So what you have to do, you have to first stop the primary database. You have to stop the primary database. You cannot run the takeover command directly on the primary or the secondary. So first stop the primary database.
So basically all the database command we are running on OS at OS level, not in the SQL.
No.
This is in contrary to our database, Oracle database, where we have to go inside and then we have to run.
Okay.
When you have to shut the database, you have to go SQL plus and then shut immediate or something you have to go.
Okay.
Here we are running directly on OS. Okay.
Okay. So it is shutting. Okay, you can see that it has stopped the database just to make sure run the HDB NSUtil command. So here you will see that the database is false. Online is equal to false. It means the database is completely shut down. Okay, I stopped the database. The database is stopped now. Now what you have to do, you have to run the HDB NSUtil takeover command on the secondary node. You have to run the HDB NSUtil takeover command on the secondary node. So here I will run the takeover command on the secondary node. Okay, I am running the takeover command. HDB NSUtil SR takeover.
Like switchover.
Yes, it is like switchover. So this, if you run the takeover command on the second node, it will take over the role of the primary on the secondary.
Looks like in HA, it happens automatically.
Yes, HA, this will happen automatically.
Once the takeover is happened, we cannot make the old primary server as a new primary, correct? We have to reconfigure it, correct?
Yes, sorry, come again, what?
No. Once the this secondary server becomes primary, we cannot go back. We cannot make the older primary server. Suppose if we fix the issue,
No,
network issue or something.
You have to first stop this database, the secondary, which has now become primary. You have to stop this database PRD2, and then you have to run the takeover command on the primary database. Oh, sorry, on the PRD1.
But the takeover should not work now, because we have never configured the first system as a secondary. So I don't think takeover should work.
Okay. So yes, 1 minute. Let me. I will show you. So we have run this takeover on the secondary. So let me check the state of the secondary. What you are asking is a different thing. Okay, now here if you see the mode over here, earlier the mode, if you just scroll up, if you see the mode over here was sync.
Correct.
And now the mode has now changed to primary. Okay, now the mode has now changed to primary, and this database has become the primary instance. This database has become the primary instance. And if you check this now, if you can check this watch, you can run the watch, this command in this, you can see now this system has become the primary. Delhi has become the primary. Earlier Delhi was the secondary, Mumbai was primary. Now Delhi has become the primary site to ID, and there is no secondary sites attached to it. There is no secondary site now. So what happened now? We have to attach the primary, the previous primary, the Mumbai site. Now let us just forget about the primary and secondary site. We'll talk about Mumbai and Delhi. So now we have to register the Mumbai site to the now Delhi database or Delhi site.
Okay.
We get it?
Yes.
So here it is. So here we have changed it. Now I am registering this with the delay. Now you can see the changes over here. So now the primary site has now become Delhi, and Mumbai has become the secondary site. Okay, and this is the port number 30101, 30107. This is the
Okay.
And the connection, this is timed out. Why it is timed out? Because the database is not running.
So it is shut.
Yes, it is shut down. So you have to start. So again, you have to check the state on the primary node. Check the state on the primary node. Now the primary, if you check the primary, you can see the primary has become in sync mode. If you scroll above, you can see this was the earlier, it was the primary node. Okay, the Mumbai was actually the primary node. It was the primary node Mumbai, but now if you scroll down, if you see the latest output, you will see that it has become the sync. It has become the secondary or sync site. Okay. Now you have to start the database on the primary side for the replication to start, for the replication to resume. Now the replication will flow. Earlier it was flowing from Mumbai to Delhi. Now it will get reversed. Now it will flow from Delhi to Mumbai. Do you get it? So here I am starting the database, and you will see the changes here on the screen. Okay, can you see now it has started replicating back 55%. Index is 160 persistent, preparing persistent.
Both ways is possible within seconds.
No, within seconds it is possible because there is no load on a database. There is no data in a database.
Yes.
So it takes some time. You can take it like 30-40 seconds, maybe 1 minute or something.
Yeah, both can be interchanged in live scenario. That is what.
Yes.
Okay.
That is it. So here we have now done the switch over, and we have registered the Mumbai site as a secondary site. Now test reverse replication. Now you can test reverse replication. Earlier we were making all the changes. We were doing all the changes on the Mumbai side. Now we will add some records in the secondary side. So if I come over here, see in the last time it gave me this error over here. Okay, it gave me this error. In the same, I will add some records. I will add 5 more records over here. I will execute it. So now can you see it has added the record, successfully executed. It has added the record on the Delhi side. Now if you see the output, select star from test, you can see 10 records now. Instead of the previous 5, you can see now the 10 records. Now if you again execute the same command on the primary side, on the Mumbai side, which is now the secondary side, you can see the same record, same output over here. So is it clear? Again, you have to take over. We are going to again take back. We are going to again switch from here. Previously, we switched from the primary to the secondary, or from the Mumbai to Delhi. Now again, we are switching back from Delhi to Mumbai. Okay, so you can run HDB and Unisutil on both the nodes. So Delhi is the primary site now. I'm running HDB NSUtil. So you can see that this is the primary site Delhi, and I'm running the same command here on the primary node. On the Mumbai side, and you can see that it is now the replicated replication node. Now what you have to do, you have to stop your database on the primary site, which is the Delhi site. So I'm stopping the database on my primary site. Okay, after the database has stopped on the primary side, and we'll run the takeover command on the Mumbai side. Okay, so database has stopped. Let me check again the HDBMS SR state. So here I can see that the online database is in fault. The database is down. Now let me run the takeover command on the Mumbai side. So I'm running the takeover command here. It will switch the node. It will switch the primary from the Delhi to Mumbai. You can do the whole configuration of this replication from your HANA Studio also, from GUI also, but it is not that I don't find it that easy from the GUI, because you can just run it. Then if you want to see the status, which one is primary, which one is secondary, then you have to go on here. I don't, because you have to go system database. You have to come under the system database. So open this. Still to open it. It's very slow. So you just open this. Here you have to go under landscape, system replication. So here if you don't see any content, it means this is the secondary side. If you see any content, if you replicate, you will see the details over here. So that is only you can distinguish between a primary and secondary. But here it is very descriptive and very easy to identify the system. So now the Mumbai site has become the primary site. You can run the SR state command. Okay, now if you see over here, earlier it was the sync site. Earlier it was Mumbai was the sync site, secondary site. Now if you check over here, it has become the primary site. Mumbai has become the primary site. Okay, and now what you have to do, run this command over in this primary site. Okay, now you can see that the Mumbai has become the primary, but there are no secondary sites attached. So you have to attach the secondary, you have to register the secondary, the Delhi, you have to register the Delhi site as a secondary node. I'm running this command on the secondary side and just see the output on this screen. So you can see over here. The secondary has got attached to the primary, and you can see over here. This is Mumbai is the primary side, and Delhi is the secondary side. But still, the connection is getting timed up because the database is not started yet. Before starting the database, you can check the SR state, and you can see that this site has become the sync site, the secondary site Delhi, and now you can start the database to start the replication. And start the database to resume the replication. You can see that this is active, it has become active. It is the first one is active, the second one will go initializing, then it will become active, and then the third one. So it is now in the syncing mode. It has also become active. So my database is now in the active status. Do you get it, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So now before winding up, you can go and drop the test table, because if this is since this is replication, it has to be a production system. So don't just keep any test and any data inside here. So we'll just
Can you drop it from the command line? Can you just show us if it is possible?
Which command line?
Means the putty, through putty. Is it possible to drop drop the table?
Yes, you can do it from here also. No, so here, which is the primary side. Now you have to do it from the Mumbai
primary
side. So here, from here, you have to connect to your HDB SQL minus capital U. No, sorry, HDB SQL minus capital U my key and H4P.
Okay.
Okay, so the key is not created here. It's invalid value for key. We have not created the key. So that if you want, you have to create the key over here, and then only you can log into here. If you don't have the key, then you have to give all this.
I think you have to give password, username password.
You have to use this one. See, this is the way. Okay, HDB SQL. Octil system, it is showing for the system. I don't want the system. Okay. HDB SQL minus Azure system and India 123. So here I don't want to connect to the system DB. I want to connect to the tenant database. So here I am connecting to the tenant database. Here you can run this command, select star from test. Okay, so you can see the 10 records over here.
Yes.
And here you can delete the drop. You can drop the table, drop table test. Table deleted. Now if you run select star from test, it will give an error. Could not find table view test.
Yes. Even in their rules.
So here we have. Now in case if you want to pause the replication, you have to stop the secondary database unregistered. You just have to unregister the database on the secondary. Okay, and again you can check the SR state. It will go back to previous one. So now primary. Now this one is the primary database. Now Mumbai is the primary system. If you run this HDB and NS. So this is my primary database. Okay, this is my primary Mumbai site. Now if I want to pause the replication, so you have to stop the database on the secondary side. Just simple, you have to stop the replication on the secondary, and the database replication will get paused. How you can see, run this command over here in the primary. So now you can see everything is in the active state. Now if I run if I stop the database from here, if I stop the database, this replication will get disconnected, or it will get discontinued. Okay, if you can see the error, you can see the error. Now you can see error, active sync, communication channel. You can see the connection timeout. Can you see?
Yes.
So now there is no replication. The replication has dropped. You can say you pause the replication, something like that. Or if you want to completely remove the replication, unregister this site from the system. So now I have stopped the database, and now I will unregister this site from the system. I'm unregistering it. Now if you see over here, it will get, you won't see any secondary attached to the primary now. Just let it command complete. Okay. Now you can see there is no secondary site attached over here. Stop secondary database. Insert it. Verify replication status on primary. Okay, so we have the replication. So we run it from there on the secondary node. We stop the database, run the unregister command. So here we have run the unregister command. Okay, now if you see the state of the secondary side, if you see the database is down, false, and the mode is none. There is no replication. There is no replication mode on the secondary side. You can see over here, caution: you must start the database in order to complete the unregistration. If you only want to pause the replication, then no need to start it. Just keep it like this till the time you don't want to start the replication. And when you want to start the replication, only thing is that you have to go and start the database. Okay, sorry. Before starting the database, you have to register it first. Sorry, resume replication. Resume replication. So now we have paused the replication. Now if you want to resume the replication, again you have to register the secondary site. So this site has been unregistered. Just register the secondary site to the primary. If you see from here, you can see that the site, there is no secondary has been registered with the primary. So register the secondary site. Now you can see the secondary site here. It is again secondary is attached to the primary, and now you have to see the state over here. So if you see the state over here, this has become the mode, it has become sync. Earlier the mode was none. Earlier the mode was none, but now the mode has become, okay, sorry, the mode has become sync mode. Here it is. So I have registered my secondary with my primary. If you want to resume the replication, just start the database on the primary secondary, and the replication will resume. Okay, here you can see it has become active. Yes, it is, yes, sync active. This is over initializing. It is syncing. It also initializing, syncing. This two has become active. Now this is syncing, and now this will also become active. So is it clear? We have paused the replication. We have resumed the replication. Yes, is it clear? And in case if you want to disable replication, you have to first stop the secondary, unregister the secondary side, and then you have to disable the primary. Okay, so you have to stop the database on the secondary. I'm stopping the database on the secondary. Here you can see the replication has started stopping. It is giving a connection error, and now it is giving a timeout error. Now stop unregister the secondary side. So let me unregister the secondary. Okay, still it is not database has not stopped yet. Mhm. So we can stop the database application. Now unregister the secondary from primary. I'm unregistering it. Okay, so the secondary has now become unregistered or detached from the primary. And now you can disable the site, the primary site for now this is the primary site. If you check the replication state, it is the primary, the Mumbai site is the primary. So you can disable replication over here. Okay, disable replication. Now if I check the replication state, so what it is showing me, it is just showing me online is equal to database is online, but the mode is none, no replication mode. Same here, if you check the secondary node, HDBNS util state, so here also you can see online is equal to false, database is not running and there is no replication mode over here. Okay, is it clear? So now we have completely disabled replication on both the nodes. And if you want to again start the replication, you have to start over again from this here, from this point. Sorry, from here. Point number 5 here. Yes, is it clear, everyone? Yes, any query, any questions?
Anyone hear me?
No.
Power of the secondary node. For the primary, I have to first stop the database.
If we directly stop from Azure, it may crash, correct?
Normally now the databases have become more sturdy and more resilient. So normally nothing happens as of that.
No,
But just in
not the
case
database, maybe operating system may get crash.
anything. So just if you have the option, then make just play it safely.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know, and if the VMs crashed and everything, if there's something which is not out of your control, you can't help it. But if you can do it, then try to do it
Please do.
cleanly.
Okay. Okay. I have to disconnect now. I think session is over. No, nothing
Yes,
is left. For...
nothing is remaining. If anybody has any queries, it's okay. Otherwise, we will just close this session.
Okay.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Yes, I think nobody has any query. So, okay, no problem. So I'm closing this session. See you next weekend.